Blue light is the light spectrum, 7th grade science. Blue light is the closest to daylight on the light spectrum. When we talk about circadian rhythm, the modulating that circadian rhythm, primary is the eye and the light receptor. We need the blue light during the day for energy, for working memory, for attention, for our reaction time. It signals dopamine and serotonin for focus and mood. If we're blocking blue light morning and during the day, your body is likely producing melatonin during the day.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries.
Hey friend, welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your health coach and host, Jenn, always here with you every week for wellness without the weirdness. Joining me today is Stephanie. Steph, welcome back. It's been a hot minute.
Hey, Jenn. Yes, it has. So happy to be back with all of you.
Yeah, well, not a hot minute since we've seen each other, but since you've been here. Yeah.
Exactly.
So a couple weeks ago, we talked about what to do when we're traveling, right? How to take our health on the road and how sometimes there are things that we want to do to maintain our health when we're not in our usual routine, right? Today, though, we're going to focus on that usual routine and consider if our daily habits are truly serving our health. Because, spoiler, some of the things I hear people doing are not just not helping, but are actually sabotaging their efforts and their hormones. What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, no, I'm excited because, I travel a lot for work, as you know, and, the summer's my slow season. So I need those regular daily habits like over the next couple months.
Okay, awesome. So before we get into it, we do have to tell our members what they're getting this week. And I have to welcome everyone. Officially, it is the first official week of our new and improved membership. So this membership is, like I said, all new, very much improved. It's now called the Happy Healthy Hub. So you still get a recipe each week delivered to your inbox. I'm still sending you curated articles and discounts. You're now getting expert interview episodes in full video, including behind the scenes content, a community with the ability to post and comment on other people's posts, plus access to a 24/7 AMA, which means Ask Me Anything. So here is where you target your specific questions or challenges. You can upvote other people's questions, see past questions and answers, and so much more. All of this, the Happy Healthy Hub, is yours for just $12 a month. Or if you pay the whole year up front, you get it for $120. So, by the way, if you're currently a member, you are grandfathered in at your current price, and you will be migrated over to the Happy Healthy Hub. So you don't have to do anything if you're a current member. If you are not already a member, jump in. There's no better time than now. For this week, your recipe is for teriyaki turkey lettuce wraps. So in the middle of grill season, I think this is a great way to change it up. They're also still super easy and refreshing for the season. So if you want this recipe, if you want expert interviews in full video with behind the scenes content, plus access to our community chat and 24/7 Ask Me Anything, go to asaladwithasideoffries.com/membership or click the link in the episode notes below. From there, you'll click subscribe now and then follow the prompts to enter your payment info, create your login to access the hub, and you're there. Remember, you're going to asaladwithasideoffries.com/membership. This is the next best thing to my signature coaching program. And at the same time, you support this podcast and this community so we can continue to bring you new episodes and experts every single week. The Happy Healthy Hub is yours for just $12 a month or $120 for the year. And on top of the 24/7 Ask Me Anything, the community chat, the discounts, and curated content, you'll get this week's recipe for the teriyaki turkey lettuce wraps. All right, Steph, we are ready for a daily habit. Okay, quick preface. I feel like I want to preface this whole thing by saying daily habits that nourish the body, mind, and spirit, emotion, whatever, the soul, right? However you want to think about that.
Yeah.
Are all important and valuable, right? That's where true transformation happens. It's in the small things that we do daily, or the seemingly small things that we do daily.
Love it.
With that said, many of the things that we do daily, or that many of us are doing daily, may not be serving us the way that we think they are, right? They might actually be sabotaging us. So let's go through a few of these and we'll see if they're serving or sabotaging.
All right.
All right. First one on my list is coffee for breakfast.
Ooh, like empty stomach coffee?
Yeah. And then maybe like that is breakfast.
Oh, no, I would say that's sabotaging. For me personally, as I've gotten older, I can't do that. That's not good.
Yes. This actually also leads into kind of a conversation about intermittent fasting, which we can talk about also, because a lot of times people use coffee in an effort to not eat, right? And that's sort of doing double duty sabotage, right? So on the coffee front, the caffeine, so naturally our cortisol is high in the morning. That's what gets us out of bed. Adding the caffeine at that time of day disrupts the natural cortisol curve or arc of our natural cortisol in our body, and frankly ends up leading to adrenal fatigue and disruption. So one of the things I always say is no coffee before food. Some of the ways that people try to, I'm going to say, get around this or negotiate this is that they will add protein to their coffee, or they're adding MCT oil to their coffee. And I would say, how is that working? See what you're noticing.
If I'm somewhere where it's like, well, I can only have like a coffee, I'm not getting food, like I would get a latte with milk in it, but that's bad, I guess.
It's just not enough. It's not enough to signal our system, right? Because first of all, that caffeine is still being added when our cortisol is already high, first thing in the morning. It's certainly better than without it, but I don't know that it's substantial enough for your system to really balance the blood sugar, for your system to really have all of the signals to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. What
Right?
about matcha? Is it the same?
So matcha is a little bit less on the caffeine, although I suppose it depends how much you have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more or less similar enough, where I would say, see how it's working for you. You might notice, right? If you end up where, you're doing the coffee in the morning and you feel good, but you have that like afternoon slump, or it's 6, 7 o'clock and you feel like you can't keep your eyes open, but at 10:30, 11, when you would want to be going to sleep, you are wide awake. That's a big signal that our adrenals, are not functioning properly.
Okay.
Right? Adrenal fatigue. And then intermittent fasting, right, would also be a piece of this, where is it serving or sabotaging? And this is where it's not universally one or the other. I like it better for men than for women, because for women, it can really wreak havoc on our hormones, right? And especially if we're layering intermittent fasting on top of already dysregulated hormones, impaired sleep, and other things going on, right? So what intermittent fasting can do, if we don't have some of these other things in place, and then we're adding this intermittent fasting where we're expecting our body to perform for like at least half the day, if not 2/3 of the day, without fuel, it can really create some thyroid challenges. So skipping breakfast, whether that's because we're eating, we're having coffee for breakfast, or we're trying to fast, or both, or whatever it is, it frankly just sends signals to the entire body to slow down the thyroid, right? The thyroid will slow the conversion of T4 to T3. Our reproductive hormones downregulate, right? Hello, anybody, menopause, perimenopause, andropause, right? Men and women. This is no bueno, right? If we're already in a state of decreased testosterone for men, decreased estrogen for women, progesterone, right? Like we need all these hormones in balance. If we're telling our entire system to downregulate, it's not helpful, right? Cortisol also then increases, that stress hormone, because think about caveman times, not eating was a function of famine, which is a stressor. And in that time, to survive, our body holds on to everything it gets, right? Fat is fuel stored to use later, because the body's job is to survive above all else. And so fat storage increases. So fundamentally, our hormones, especially female hormones, are highly sensitive to nutrient availability and calorie availability. So under eating also, which is essentially what ends up happening the way most people implement intermittent fasting, right? It's like calorie cutting because we have fewer hours in a day to eat, and it really just wreaks havoc. So if you are intermittent fasting, how might we tell? Because before we started recording, Steph was like, are you going to tell me what to figure out, how to notice this?
Yeah.
I got you. All right. So if you're intermittent fasting, check in with any of your PMS symptoms, right? Are they worse than they used to be? Is your cycle irregular? Is your mood a little volatile, right? Do we have increased anxiety or depression? Are we having trouble falling asleep at night? Are we waking up not feeling rested? Maybe your Ring or your Whoop or whatever wearable is telling you that you're not getting deep, restful, restorative sleep. Your basal body temperature may drop. Again, using, your wearables to tell you that. The temperature thing, by the way, is often connected to impaired thyroid. So just taking a look at that. So I'm going to say coffee for breakfast and intermittent fasting are sabotage more than serving.
Interesting. So when I've intermittent fasted, it's super interesting because I actually feel good. Like I don't feel hungry. I'm like, oh, I have so much energy. But the thing I crave more than anything is the caffeine.
Yeah. And a lot of people say like the caffeine, or if you put, MCT into your coffee, it's not breaking your fast or whatever it is, or coffee alone doesn't break the fast or whatever. But there's a difference between short-term and long-term. What's happening, right? Short-term, we feel that energy. We think it's serving us. Mm-hmm. That's fight or flight. That is the body saying something must be wrong, right? More so than it is long-term really serving us when it comes to our hormones.
Yeah. So then
okay.
What should we do in the morning then? Like I see a lot of things like lemon water or like drink like 16 ounces of water.
Yeah. So we are certainly dehydrated in the morning. Water in the morning is great. So then that's actually the next one. So let's say we're eating 2 eggs and fruit for breakfast at 8 a.m. and then lunch of a salad with grilled chicken at 12:30. Serve or sabotage?
I think serve.
So this is really interesting, but this is actually sabotage.
Interesting. Okay.
So the parts that serve us, right? Considering protein and fiber. Yes. The parts that serve us, assuming 8 a.m., we're getting fuel in our system within about an hour of waking up. Big fan of that. Here's where it's sabotaging. 2 eggs is a snack size amount of protein, which means it's really going to last us like 1 to 2 hours. So lunch not till 12:30, from 8 to 12:30 is 4.5 hours. So we're going too long given the amount of fuel that we've had. So if we're having that, because one of the things I hear all the time is people are like, I can't eat that much in the morning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like a full 4 ounces of protein is too much. Okay, great. Eat your 2 eggs and fruit at 8. We're going to need a snack around 10, right? give or take, in order to get to lunch at 12:30. So it's more about saying, okay, if I'm having 2 eggs and fruit, somewhere between 10 and 10:30, right? Somewhere in that range, I'm probably going to need another 2 to 3 ounces of protein and some more fiber to get me through to 12:30 at lunch. So we can do a couple snacks spread out instead of a big meal. And this is where taking into consideration how you feel. Some people, this actually keeps their blood sugar sort of going up and down and doesn't serve them. Some people feel better having the bigger meal and then going longer till they fuel again. So there are elements to all of this where it's very individual.
What if on breakfast, Jen, you had more, like you added like a couple slices of avocado or like a piece of like whole grain toast or...
So your avocado is giving you fat and a little bit of fiber, not really more protein. Your toast is giving you grain, which is going to be a little bit more fiber, depending on the bread that you have, right? But really to amp up that protein, I would do another egg and then maybe, you know, if you eat bacon or turkey bacon or a turkey sausage or something that gives you some more protein, but maybe you don't want more eggs. Or I have some clients who do cottage cheese in an omelet.
Oh, yeah.
So they do, you know, extra protein from the cottage cheese in the omelet. Some people just do egg bites where they're basically getting 4 eggs with veggies in 2 egg bites. But egg whites is actually another piece where we can get more without it feeling like as much food.
Yeah.
You know, like 4 egg whites compared to 4 whole eggs sits differently for me, but it's the same amount of protein. So it's interesting in this one because while we're nailing the protein fiber, we're under eating, sending those same hold on to everything you get signals. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, this person is also likely feeling a challenge at night with nighttime eating, potentially binge eating, and feeling like after dinner they can't, you know, sort of can't stop. Nighttime eating is often directly connected to undereating in the first half of the day.
I've heard that. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. Okay. So similar, focusing on a calorie deficit, serve or sabotage?
I think serve.
So I'm going to go sabotage.
Interesting.
Controversial opinion over here. Here's why. When we have been told all our lives to focus on this calorie deficit, what do?
We restrict.
We restrict, we undereat, we emphasize processed foods that are low in calorie.
Yeah.
Does not serve our health, does not serve our hormones. What I see over and over is that when we focus on quality, right? When we focus on nutrients, when we focus on the quality of the food that we're eating, the calories take care of themselves. Because your body can regulate eggs and fruit, salad and grilled chicken. Your body cannot regulate Pringles, right? Your body cannot regulate the high fiber, low carb, sugar substitute laden cereal, right? So focusing on a calorie deficit, controversial take, I see it sabotage people way more than emphasizing that helps them. Rather than calories in, calories out, we want to think quality in, quality out, get up and move more.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think eating real food always I feel better. Like when I have a snack, I'd rather have like carrots or cut up veggies and like hummus or, you know, something versus like a bag of popcorn. I love popcorn,
right,
but like the carrots and the hummus and the veggies are going to keep me fuller longer because of the fiber and the water and the...
Yeah, but how often, if we're told to focus on the calories,
Yeah.
We're going to look at that hummus and go, maybe I'd just go with the popcorn.
Yeah. Or you get the little single serve size hummus and you're like, this is the portion.
Right. But let's be clear. We're not here over hummus. If you're hungry, right, and you want more, eat more.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hungry and you need something else with it, maybe some turkey slices, do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually always have like an apple in the afternoon for like a snack.
Yeah.
And then when I'm hungry, I'll do like a scoop of the natural peanut butter, the scoop of the almond butter for extra protein and like fat. And it just keeps me fuller longer. Like if I know I'm not eating dinner until like 7, 8 o'clock, that's going to hold me versus a regular apple and then eat dinner at like 6.
Right. Right. Okay. Ready for the next one?
All right. Well, I'm 0 for 3 right now. So
yeah. Oh, that's funny. I wasn't even keeping track. All right. Waking up at 5:30 or 6 a.m. and going for a walk outside.
Oh, I'm going to say yes, because I don't wake up at 5:30, but wake up at 6 and I like go for a run outside. So I'm going to say that's good. Don't crush my dreams, Jenn.
No. This is a serve. Now, the reason why I'm saying 5:30 to 6 a.m. is because of the current sunrise time, right? Going back to that intermittent fasting thing, if you really want to do some intermittent fasting, make your feeding hours daylight and your fasting hours darkness. Okay. 5:30 to 6 a.m. is when we're getting sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about it all the time, first morning light. Now, in an ideal scenario, it's actual first morning light where we're still getting that like sunrise where sort of like the amber glow becomes more like blue light. But even if you're getting 5 to 10 minutes of natural light exposure in the morning after waking up, right? Within 30 minutes of waking up, like 5 to 10 minutes of natural light exposure does incredible things. We talked about this in our circadian rhythm episode. Remember, our sleep-wake cycles, well, every cycle, right? Our entire body works on this circadian rhythm. The primary driver of circadian rhythm are our eyes through light exposure. And every cell in our body, every organ has its own clock. We need all of those clocks to be going together. So if we can get the master clock functioning properly through light exposure when we wake up, it literally has a cascade of health benefits throughout the entire system. Morning light impacts serotonin for focus, melatonin for activity and restful sleep, supports energy, mental clarity. Like I said, all of our clocks syncing up, our sleep-wake cycle, our mood, hormone balance. There are a few things not helped by first morning light. And that walk outside, like starting with a little bit of movement, doesn't have to be a run. I know you love your run. As we get older, sometimes those more intense workouts trigger a stress response, whereas in our earlier years, it did not. So do a walk. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be intense, right? I would also say like mini walk breaks throughout the day, 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk. This is where I would say like set a timer on your phone, or if your computer has a reminder to stand up and walk around. Mini breaks improve circulation, reduce the time that we're just sedentary, give our heart a little bit of a boost of movement without requiring a massive time commitment.
Yeah. No, I mean, I drink a lot of water at the office purposely so that I can go to the bathroom, and I choose the ladies' room that's further away. We also, at our office, we're really lucky. We have spa water every day with like the lemon and cucumber, and I love it. And it's on a different floor. So in order to get there, I have to take the stairs. So I'm like, oh, I'm moving,
Exactly.
Every 90 minutes or so to refill the spa water and walking upstairs. And yeah.
Perfect. And if you have like, for anybody who feels like they're having trouble concentrating, you can do the Pomodoro technique, which is like you set an alarm for a certain amount of time, sometimes like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. And then you set a timer for a break. So if you do 25 minutes and then a 5-minute break, or 40 minutes and a 10-minute break or whatever, but it can also help with our ability to focus. So, all right. Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Fasted workouts.
I know I'm probably going to be wrong on this one. But like my personal thing where I feel better, well, not necessarily feel better. I say it's okay because I tend to work out in the morning and obviously I haven't eaten anything, but I do drink water. But I will say when I do eat and I have time to like in between and like digest, I work out harder.
So it's interesting. Occasionally, go for it.
Okay.
Daily, it's sabotaging. Right? So yes, we can get a hit of endorphins or dopamine. It also increases our cortisol. The other piece is doing this every day without proper recovery is where we get into a challenge with the fasted workout. Because for most of us, right, our sleep is impaired. We're not getting enough. We're not getting enough quality sleep. And so the fasted workout without the balance of these recovery pieces keep us in this chronic stress. So the idea of like a fasted workout, like, okay, so it's hormesis, right? Or hormetic stress or stress that improves us, that serves a purpose, that's helpful. So in small doses, a fasted workout can be this hormetic stress. It can improve metabolism, lower blood pressure, right? Reduce inflammation or oxidative stress. But for women, when we're doing this too often, it can have the opposite impact. It leads to hormonal imbalance, menstrual irregularity, weight gain. We biologically, female bodies are more sensitive to these stressors. And as we age, we are increasingly sensitive to those stressors because, as we talked about in our Q&A episode for women over 40, the estrogen was like our wiggle room. The estrogen was our headroom. And as that estrogen decreases, we have less of that wiggle room, less capacity to handle those stressors. So for men, a fasted workout can improve fat metabolism and endurance, right? For women, it disrupts their menstrual cycle. It can create fertility changes, right? So this chronic stress can then also snowball into insulin resistance, hypothyroidism, increased risk of injury. So what we want to do instead of fasted workouts, and here's the thing, like, I think there's also this idea that like if we're not fasted, the alternative is a full stomach that makes you feel like you're going to vomit when you go to do a push-up or something, right? Like there's a balance in between those, right? It's not black or white. There's the gray area in the middle. So pre-workout, we want more carbohydrate, a little bit of protein.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be, like I hear from a lot of people, half a banana with maybe a spoon of nut butter. Love it. I've been doing 2 dates and sometimes 2 dates with like a spoon of nut butter, and I feel better in my workout. Some people will do like half a sweet potato with some nut butter. This is a good time for maybe that dried fruit. Like I was saying, I did the dates. You know, maybe this is where you do one of those fruit-based bars rather than some of the other ones. This is one where the fasted workout, serving or sabotaging, is context dependent. Where are we in life? Are we biologically male, female? How often are we doing it? Right? Occasionally I'll do a fasted workout, but not all the time.
Yeah. Interesting. So when I was marathon training, I would eat a peanut butter sandwich before.
Yes.
It was great, but I knew I had to do a high volume of miles. Now I'll do a fasted run and I can go up to 6 miles and be totally fine. Totally fine. But like to think like, yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, and there's a difference between that endurance piece, but that's also where too, if we're doing endurance, what we would call intra workout fuel. So fueling during that workout, like with marathoners using goo or
like the little gummies. Yeah.
Okay. Ready for the next one?
All right.
Carrying around a giant Stanley. Serve or sabotage?
Oh, well, I live in New York and that thing is way too big and heavy. I would say sabotage because it's also like heavy.
Okay. I'm going with serve only because it implies that we're drinking our water and focusing on hydration. The piece of the Stanley is where I'm with you on the like not required.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be a Stanley. But if we look at this in the context of hydration, I'm a serve. Hydration supports all of our bodily functions, cell activity, immune cell activity. It helps flush toxins. It helps ensure that nutrients can be transported effectively. Like water is required for digestion, for our glowing skin, for our energy, right? All of those kinds of things. Now, how much water we need does vary person to person. Generally, the guideline to start is the 8x8, right? 8 glasses of 8 ounces of water a day. Start there, see how you feel. The other guideline is half your body weight in ounces. But normally, for a lot of people, that 8x8 is going to get us pretty close to that. And then we can see how we feel. The last piece about hydration that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention is that hydration is about more than just water. It is about minerals. And that's where electrolytes come in, right? So I'm going to recommend everybody, we have an episode called Hydration and Dehydration featuring Desiree Lotz. And we have a nutrition nugget on IQ Mix, that brand's electrolyte mix, where in that nutrition nugget, I ended up talking about a lot about electrolyte mixes in general. So not all electrolyte mixes are helpful. So be careful with that. With that said, hydration serves.
Oh yeah, I feel and even the hunger piece too. Like sometimes I drink water and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not really hungry. Like it was just, I was thirsty. I haven't drank a lot of water today. And yeah, you definitely feel better. I definitely notice a difference on days where I don't drink as much water.
Yeah. And I think there's a piece of that too, where like we just get confused about what our body is telling us, And so I can appreciate that. At the other side, I'm not a fan of I know I'm hungry, let me drink a glass or 2 of water so that I eat less. Yeah. Like that's not the objective.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Okay. So we have more coming up that are a lot of the trendy things. So we got cold plunges, blue light glasses, melatonin, clean beauty products. So I know you're going to want to hear all that. Let's let everything that we've already covered sink in for a second while we highlight our partner for this episode. Oh, and we are our own partner for this episode. So, all right, friends, you're here, you're listening. So I'll say you're a fan of Salad with a Side of Fries podcast. And merch is another way that you can support everything we do for you. What's more, it supports you. Maybe this is the perfect reminder to yourself of your commitment to your health, a tool to help you keep going or execute the daily habits that we're talking about today. From workout tanks and a mat and a gym bag to a glass cutting board if you're trying to get rid of all the plastic. There's a bento box for lunch, a magnet for your fridge that says protein and fiber, and so much more. You owe it to yourself to check out the complete store. There's also some great giftable items if you need. So remember, your purchase supports this show and all we do for you. Just head over to asaladwithasideoffries.com and browse the full collection. Or simply text the word fries, FRIES, to 844-947-4846. We'll send you the link right to your phone. Check out the full Salad with a Side of Fries merch store. Your purchase supports everything we do here, shows your podcast pride, and maybe it sparks a conversation for you to pay it forward and inspire someone else to take charge of their health too. So again, just text the word fries, FRIES, to 844-947-4846. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. All right. You ready for the next one, Steph?
Bring it on.
All right, shutting everything out for 10 minutes. Serve or sabotage?
Shutting everything out. I would say that's serve.
Yeah. It's so interesting because the idea of shutting everything out requires two things. One, that we recognize that the world is not going to end in 10 minutes. And even if somebody needs us, a response, even if they need us that first minute, a response 10 minutes later is still very fast, right? And shutting everything out is nothingness. It is intentional quiet. This might mean a 10-minute meditation. This might mean a couple minutes of deep breathing. Deep breathing, by the way, using this for deep breathing oxygenates the body, helps manage stress, promotes a sense of calm. Frankly, the same thing happens if we're meditating, because when we're meditating, we are creating that same response in the body. It is one of the most sabotaging things to our health that we are constantly bombarded with content. That stimulus, all hours that we are awake, is really a stressor. It diminishes our willpower. It's continuously and I say this with all the love in the world and all the compassion, because this is one of the things that I feel like I have to work on a lot and very intentionally, is like doing one thing at a time. We think we're multitasking. What we're really doing is rapid task switching, which is actually exhausting physiologically and mentally to the body, even though we think we're doing multiple things at once. Quiet, silence, 10 minutes is a top meaningful daily practice. Full stop.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I can even take a quick power nap for 10 minutes and you think it's long and you wake up and you're like, oh, that was only 10 minutes, but you feel better. You feel better.
And for some people, you might start at 5 minutes or 3 minutes of nothingness. Could you even combine some of these things? Like, what if you did your walk, right? You did the 25 minutes of productivity, 5 minute, not. What if you did that 5 minutes of a walk without something in your ears, without thinking about work or the task you're going to do next? It's not easy.
No, I think especially in New York too, because even if you're like, I'm not going to use AirPods walking around, there's so much stimuli.
Yes.
Like you hear people's conversations. You have to pay attention to traffic. Am I going to get hit by this little Amazon e-scooter?
Right.
There's so much. So I think in the city, it's like hard sometimes to find that quiet, even in your apartment. Like I could try to be zen and then I hear a siren go by or cars honking.
Right. And so that's where I think a meditation practice or the deep breathing thing is really helpful, because it gives you something to concentrate on at the same time that you're having that nothingness. So figure out a tool that you can use to help you do it. It's that important.
And maybe use the noise canceling feature on my AirPods when I'm there to make it
exactly. Great idea.
More zen.
You're so right. That's a great idea. Great time to use that. All right. Calls with friends to vent and complain.
Oh, definitely serve.
Yes. Now, so it's funny. I know a lot of people who make a distinct effort to not complain.
Oh, yeah. I don't know those people.
Well, here's the thing. Right. That does not compute. This is a big yes. So not only does getting it out and venting and saying the words help with stress, but also community is critical for longevity. When we vent to another person, we feel in community. Really interesting study back from 1997 out of UCLA's Mindful Awareness Research Center. When women vent to each other, their bodies literally calm down.
Yeah.
Duh. Like, we didn't need the study to tell us that, but I'm a fan.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, even at work too. Like you come off the call and you're like, what the hell was that? You call a coworker on the side and you just kind of both air it out. You feel better. And I also think like you hold on to stuff less because you're like, all right, I got it.
You get it out.
And then I can move past it. So if it comes up again, you're like, it doesn't bother me as much because I already like got the emotions out of it.
Right. 100%. I'm with you. All right. Ready for the next one?
Okay.
Daily morning cold plunges or cold showers?
I mean, you know, I love a cold plunge.
Same.
I don't know that I would do it in the morning, and I definitely do not do a cold shower because the head, I don't like getting the head that cold, but I'm sure it's really good for you. So I'll say it's good.
So this is a sabotage.
Okay. All right. Well, then we're aligned because I don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. And you and I go to cold plunge together. So you know I love a cold plunge.
Yes.
And here's the deal. It's the timing that makes all the difference. So remember when we talked about with the coffee in the morning, how our cortisol is already naturally high in the morning?
Yeah.
If we do the cold plunge or the cold shower in the morning, it disrupts the cortisol clock, basically. It disrupts the cortisol patterns that we need. So we need the cortisol higher in the morning. We need the cold shock later. And then if we're adding it in the morning when the cortisol is already high, it can stress the adrenals. We can end up more fatigued, and the kind of fatigue that like caffeine doesn't really help. So back to your question of how do I know, right? If you're doing this and then you're hitting that slump and the caffeine doesn't really help it, and you're tired at 7 o'clock, then wide awake 10:30, 11:30 at night, our sleep suffers. So your better timing for a cold plunge is post-workout or late afternoon when cortisol is naturally lower.
Well, remember the time that we went and it was at like 5 and we did the cold plunge and you're like, oh, is this going to keep me awake? And I was like, just wait. And we both were texting each other and I was like ready to go to bed exhausted at 9 p.m. And usually I'm not like, it's, my bedtime's like 10:30, whatever. And the more I've done that, even the last time I did the cold plunge, I think it was like more like late morning after a workout before lunch. Within 2 hours of getting home, I think I took a massive nap. Like it really does like make you calm. And so I love doing it in the evening because I know I'm going to sleep really well.
Yeah. When I was at Canyon Ranch, by the way, I'm going to eventually do an episode on these wellness spas and places that I've been to in the last like year or so. I was doing it a couple times a day and love the post-workout, the post-massage, some of that stuff, or like pre-massage. You do the cold post-massage, whatever. I can't remember what the system was. But yeah, just later in the day. It's my favorite after a workout. So sometimes what I'll do is like I'll do my workout and then I'm showering and I just finish my shower with like 30 seconds of cold.
Mm-hmm. It's good for your hair. I mean.
Yeah. All right. Ready?
All right.
Melatonin to help us sleep.
I'm going to say that's a saboteur.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of improved sleep.
Yes, we all are.
Right. And you know what? I'm going to put this one like the cold plunge where it's context specific.
Okay.
So impaired sleep is detrimental to overall health, full stop. So the things that we can do to improve sleep, I'm a big fan. The question becomes, how much melatonin are we taking and how often? So using it every day, all the time, not helpful. So the body naturally produces about 0.3 milligrams of melatonin per night. Take a look at what you're taking. I see people taking 30, 60 milligrams.
Wow.
That is dramatic multiples of what is natural to the body. Even at 10 milligrams, not every day. We talk about cycling. So a few days on, a few days off. High doses daily can impair our own melatonin production. It can actually impact LH or luteinizing hormone, which many women are more familiar with, but PS, dudes, it also impacts you. Luteinizing hormone is needed for testosterone. So when that's impaired, right, we have issues across the board, not just with our sleep. So if you're using melatonin and you find it hard to fall asleep without it, it's a flag, right? It's a flag that we're having some dependence. If your libido is low and you're using melatonin, if you're noticing changes in your mood, start to pay attention. See what happens when you cycle it, when you use smaller doses. See what else you can do to improve the sleep. So going back to some of those sleep routine things, going back to the blue light, which we're going to talk about next in a different context, like going back to some of these other things and strategically using the melatonin. So special situations that make sense for melatonin, traveling long distances.
Yeah, that's usually when I've taken it.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, cycling it versus daily. Other sleep support, going back to that first morning light on your eyes. Not snoozing. Maybe looking at other supplements, calcium and magnesium, L-tryptophan. Look at your blood sugar balance, right? Are other habits keeping you up at night or disrupting your sleep, like blood sugar dysregulation or eating dinner late at night and then your body is digesting when we want it to be resting?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So just consider more than just this one thing that tends to be the like magic pill for sleep.
Yeah, I only keep it with me, like I said, when I'm traveling or if I'm like traveling for work and it's a late night and whatever. And I take it occasionally.
Yeah. All right, we got two more.
All right.
I mentioned this a second ago. Wearing blue light glasses all day.
I mean, I wear them all day when I'm working. So I'm going to say it's good.
So wearing blue light glasses, but all day is where we end up in the sabotage.
Interesting.
So we want to block the blue light at night, not so much during the day.
Even from a screen, though?
Yes.
Oh.
Blue light is the light spectrum, 7th grade science. Blue light is the closest to daylight on the light spectrum. When we talk about circadian rhythm, right? Again, the modulating that circadian rhythm, primary is the eye and the light receptor. We need the blue light during the day for energy, for working memory, for attention, for our reaction time. It signals dopamine and serotonin for focus and mood. If we're wearing them all the time, if we're blocking blue light morning and during the day, your body is likely producing melatonin during the day, leaving you feeling tired or sluggish, unable to concentrate, maybe a little unmotivated, harder to sleep at night. So what do we want to do? I said it a bunch of times already, right? Morning light on the eyes, ideally within 30 minutes of waking up. Wear your blue light glasses using filters on your screen. Like I use a filter on my screen at night. Follow sunrise and sunset for times when we want to impede the blue light. So in the winter, when we are potentially at our desk before sunrise, maybe use the blue light, until sunrise. The blue light blocking glasses before sunrise, if we're up that early, right? Then letting our body get that light during the day and not in the evening. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right, last one. Clean beauty products with essential oils.
Sabotage?
Yeah, this one is also, it depends on which ones. But I think this is one too, kind of similar to the melatonin, where I think we hear something and then we just go all in, or the intermittent fasting where we think more is more.
Mm-hmm.
And what ends up happening, some essential oils can disrupt estrogen. Now, not all essential oils and not all people have this response, but it's something to be aware of.
Interesting.
Yeah, right? So in the clean beauty product movement, yes, we want to remove or limit the phthalates, the sulfates, the parabens, right? What companies have done instead is added these essential oils. Just like everything, too much of something can be counterproductive. Not always, but possibly. Ones that we see a lot: lavender, tea tree oil, geranium, rose.
Mm-hmm.
So some essential oils are phytoestrogens, which means that they can act like estrogen in the body. Now, in our Q&A for women over 40, we talked about how phytoestrogens may be helpful. It depends on how we metabolize estrogen and estrogenic compounds, right? Plus, the volume of the exposure makes a difference. So this is where blood work can be really helpful. Are you estrogen dominant? Are you noticing bloating, breast tenderness, irregular periods, heavy cycles, weight gain around the hips and thighs, changes or more PMS symptoms? And for what it's worth, this applies to male bodies too. Is your testosterone low? One of the things that can happen, and there was some research on this with biologically male children, were using a lot of these phytoestrogens. Boys were developing sort of feminine attributes.
Oh, gosh.
And so, it's this balance, right? It doesn't mean, okay, go back to all the toxin-laden products. It just means that when we consider the quote unquote cleaner products, what is in there is just as important as what's not in there. Where are we using them? How often are we using them? So I like tea tree oil to repel mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But I'm not using that every single day. Right? And again, depending on how we metabolize estrogen, it may not be as big of a deal for some of us than it is for others. An easier approach, because a lot of the essential oils can be used for fragrance as much as for function. So if we emphasize unscented or fragrance-free products, especially for the kids, that might be an easy workaround.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just think it's a reminder to read labels of personal care products and cleaning products the way we read labels for food products.
Yeah.
There are some third-party companies that will even test for hormone disrupting ingredients. So, you can even Google certain brands and see if they've been tested, And then, like I said, just consider your use, when, where, how often, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check my beauty products now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And again, I think this is also something that isn't, we don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater over time. As we need to replace something, we just replace it with a different option. All right, we did a lot of daily habits that serve or sabotage. Steph, final thought?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think the fasted workout thing has really got me thinking, because I do probably more than not with the fasted workout. So that's interesting. I'm going to try maybe having a little bite of something. I like that half a banana and peanut butter kind of thing.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, it's good. I think a lot of people do a lot of these things or a combination. So it's good to maybe make some changes and see how you feel.
Yeah. I love what you're saying about noticing how you feel, right? Let that be the driver. I think my final thought, overarching, is context is everything. When it comes to these daily habits, it's not a single one that is, well, I take that back, because I think venting to your friends and the 10 minutes of nothing, right? Those are all the time, no matter what. But most of these other ones are not all the time, every circumstance, right? A lot of these are both helpful or harmful, depending on the context. And so the most challenging piece of all of it is to realize the things that are sabotaging you personally, because all of these things, like you were even saying with sometimes doing the intermittent fasting, when you feel really energized, a lot of this stuff is quiet and in the background, and we don't notice it until we're cranky and lethargic, or we can't motivate ourselves. And it seems like no matter what we do, our body's not responding. So there's a lot in here. Consider, and you don't have to, throw everything out overnight at once. Start to tweak and see what you notice.
Exactly. I think all these things are very doable. And like you said, little baby steps.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. On Friday, our nutrition nugget We're talking about 10-3-2-1-0. So this is a strategy or a plan for better sleep that also supports our metabolic health and potentially even targets belly fat.
Ooh.
So what does each number mean? Okay, here's a hint. They align perfectly with what we talked about this week. So I'll fill you all in on Friday in this week's bite-sized bonus episode, Nutrition Nugget. Be sure wherever you're listening, click the plus sign or the follow button so that your app will alert you when it's live on Friday morning. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I am at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideofries.com. Pick your platform, send a message. I truly love hearing from you. It is the highlight of my everyday, whether it's your ideas for a nutrition nugget, your takeaways, your questions. These platforms are also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. Steph, thank you again for joining me for this one.
Thank you. This was so much fun. I learned a lot because there's always one or two little takeaways that I try to apply. So thank you, Jenn, for having me.
Thank you. And of course, everybody, if you are not already a member, I invite you to the Happy Healthy Hub. You'll go to asaladwithasideofries.com/membership. This shows your support for this podcast, this community, and your health. On top of the 24/7 Ask Me Anything, on top of the community chat, the discounts, curated content, you will get this week's recipe for the teriyaki turkey lettuce wraps. So until next week, remember, context is important. What we do daily changes our lives, and implementing can make all the difference between whether it serves or sabotages us.
Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform, share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it and you are worth it. Happy healthy.